Now, your bed was wet again this morning, wasn't it?
My bed? That bed? Not that bed. That bed's so dry it's dusty.
Bedwetting, it's a completely normal part of childhood. Around 20% of 5-year-olds do it, 10% of 8-year-olds, and even 3% of 12-year-olds. And that's partly because kids haven't yet developed the urge to wake up when their bladder is full. But that doesn't make it any less embarrassing.
I was a bedwetter well into my teens, and I had to go to sleepaway camp, and I had so much humiliation that for me, doing stand-up was just not at all daunting, because the idea of bombing in front of strangers was nothing compared to wetting your bed every night at sleepaway camp.
Bedwetting is a bit more common in boys and can run in the family, and it can be compounded by stress. After the Christchurch earthquakes, schools and clinics reported an increase in bedwetting, even among kids still in the womb when it happened. And adults aren't immune.
I have a disease called enuresis, which is adult bedwetting. Hell yeah, woo!
So why does it happen, and how do we make it stop?
Good questions. To help us with them is clinical psychologist Catherine Gallagher. Catherine, why does bedwetting happen?
Look, there's actually a variety of reasons. I suppose you never get a straight answer from a psychologist. I mean, there's two kinds of nocturnal enuresis, which is the fancy word for bedwetting. So the primary is often a neurodevelopmental issue in terms of maybe bladder not being big enough, or nerves not growing or maturing enough, or not being enough hormone to be able to actually, concentrate the urine overnight, or they might be a really, really heavy sleeper, so they don't get the signals. The secondary is much more likely to be something like, a UTI, or if your child's a snorer, they might have some sleep apnea, but also maybe stress and anxiety might come into that.
Look, I know that bedwetting is just a normal thing, but it does freak me out a little bit. As a parent, what should I do to deal with it?
Well, look, I think the first thing you've got to do is take a deep breath, because it's really stressful. And, even though you know it's natural and normal, in the middle of the night when you've got to change sheets and, you're worried about sleepovers and all those other sorts of things, anything that can kind of feel out of the norm can feel a bit scary. I mean, part of taking a breath is also reminding yourself that this is normal. Most kids are going to grow out of it. Do get a medical check, because, there can, as we talked before, be some medical basis to this. But, again, there's a whole lot of things that you as a parent can take some control over.
If you get mad at your child for doing it, could you potentially make the situation worse?
Look, there's this wonderful thing in parenting called rupture and repair, which means if you stuff it up, you get to have do-overs, hey? So I think as parents, we all get stressed. We're all going to react to certain things and have hooks. So I think if you do get mad, take that breath, apologise to your kid for losing your rag, and then just say, look, actually, we've got a problem solve around this. Because I think if you keep getting angry about it, it absolutely can make it worse, because the kids aren't doing this on purpose.
Are there certain types of children who might be more likely to sort of suffer from this issue than others?
It runs in families. So if a parent's a bedwetter, then there's probably 70 or 80% of kids are likely, or someone in the family is going to, maybe develop a bedwetting issue. In terms of, developmental, delays or those sorts of things that might be the case, sometimes there's an argument that people with ADHD can have it, more likely to have it. And as I said before, if there's some issues with stress and anxiety, sometimes that can be more likely to be the secondary kind of, issue. But yeah, those are some of the factors that might play in.
I have the opposite problem. I keep on waking up at night like 4 times a night to go to the bathroom. Is there any way you can help me start wetting the bed so I can sleep properly at night?
Well, maybe you need to watch Radio Hauraki and do the pelvic floor exercises or something like that. I don't know. But, that idea of actually just, going to the toilet a couple of times before you go to sleep, not drinking so much, but, maybe that's another whole conversation. But, those kinds of things can help with regard to adults. But there's probably about 1% of adults who have the problem you're wanting, which is wetting the bed still at night times. And I'm sure they'd love to swap with you if they could.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Catherine. Thanks so much.
Oh, a pleasure.
Hi, welcome to the project on Thursday night. Look, it's Claire Chittum! Claire, love having you on the show. Welcome.
Oh, kia ora, everybody. Thank you for having me. I love that. I'm not a parent, but I do like the idea that she mentioned of rupture and repair, like the opportunity to make mistakes and do it again the next day and try again. And
I heard that, and I think I'm a pretty good parent. I've made 3 major mistakes parenting just today, so I love the idea. And I did this one too. A few years ago, we had this issue, and I decided to get really stern and say, look, tonight, I mean it, no bedwetting, and it's absolutely the worst thing you can do because they still wet the bed and they just feel guilty afterwards.
Terrified.
Yeah.
Guy, by the way, I do think you probably need to go and see your doctor about the 4 times a night. That's too much.
Guy doesn't actually drink alcohol either.
Yeah, I have a lot of embarrassing things in my closet, but I used to wet the bed at away camps, sleepaway camps and stuff like that, so that's terrifying for little kids.
Yeah.
And I think it was related a bit to anxiety because I was afraid of being away from my mummy, and it's embarrassing saying that out loud right now.
Well, you made it worse by saying mummy. You could have just said mum. Look, I think the major thing is that it is happening a lot, and luckily we've kind of got lots of tools that we can use nowadays, including like watching The Project and just feeling better about the fact that you're not alone.
And God bless the brolly sheet.